Continuing on with the versus battles, we're almost finished. We have the axes versus the hammers versus the flails. Now, I normally only do like a versus battle between one and the other one, but these three are just very similar in how they work. They have very similar range, damage, and movesets. Now, every single time I bring these weapons up, I always have to complain about them because they're so bad and just outclassed by almost any other type of weapon class in this game. They need more range, they need more stagger potential, and they need more poise damage as well. But for this video, we're going to have a bunch of different categories, pit them up against each other, and try and figure out which one's better for which scenario. As always, please do like and subscribe, and by the time this video is out, I should be live on Twitch, so do check me out there. But yeah, that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting off with variety, we have the axes here. Now, the variety itself is not too bad. You have things that have differing movesets in the hand axe, the warped axe, and the iron cleaver as well. Do you have decent strength and dexterity options mixed throughout? Do you have an okay intelligence-based option? You have something that has a very decent and unique Ash of War in the Stormhawk axe, an arcane option that can be buffed, so it makes it very good for status effect builds, something good for casting-based builds in the sacrificial axe. Do you have something for strike damage as well? So overall, I'd probably end up giving this one an A tier in its variety. As for the hammers, they're also pretty good in terms of its variety to have stuff with differing movesets in the club and the Morningstar. Morningstar also gets inherent bleed as well, which is very good. Something that actually does piercing damage in the war pick. Do have an arcane option that can be buffed in the Various Bouquet, although it sucks ass. Do you have a decent dexterity option in the Monk's Flame Mace. You do have decent faith options in the Onvay's Horn and Marika's Hammer. You have an intelligence-based option in Scepter of the All-Knowing, and things that have very different types of Ash of War options in the Nox Flowing Hammer and the Ringed Hammer. So overall, I probably would be inclined to put this one into the S tier. As for the flails though, obviously they're not going to be as good. There's only 5 of them. I only have 2 things that can not be infused, and they both scale with intelligence, both intelligence-based options. They're okay as well, so they're not too bad, but you don't have anything that has differing movesets. You do have something for strength and dexterity. They all get bleed, so overall probably give it a C tier, but I definitely end up going towards the hammers in terms of winning out of variety. Now, time to go over the movesets. As always, we're only going to touch on the basic and generic moveset. Not going to really go over things that have a unique type of moveset, things like the Stone Club or the Warped Axe. Not going to really take that into consideration. But looking at these movesets, they're just all exactly the same. Like every single one, like this light attack combo, nothing but horizontal swipes. The heavy attacks are exactly the same. Rolling, running, jumping attacks, power stance. It's just all identical. There's actually only a couple of slight differences, and that's the hammers and axes get a 5-hit light attack combo, and the flails, for whatever reason, only get a 4-hit light attack combo. Don't know why. There is also another difference in the axes jumping power stance attack. It does like 1 hit after the other, whereas for the hammers and flails, they hit at the exact same time, which is better. So like by default, the hammers should actually win this one out because they just have the better moveset, I guess. But they're all just so bad and so mid. Like 1 hit after the other with a power stance moveset is just so bad for how little stagger damage they actually do and how much little posture damage that the power stance movesets actually do get for how slow they are is really not that great. The range is bad. Like it's just all of it, no variety in this moveset, no poking attacks. Nothing that's good in this game is what these actually weapons have. So I'm actually going to give all of these a D tier. They're just all bad. And I'm not going to give a point to any of them. In fact, I'm actually going to give -1 point to all of these. They're just that bad. Getting into the best Ash of War options. Yeah, this one's like just as useless as like the movesets in terms of comparing them to one another, because like every single one gets the exact same Ash of War. The only difference is that the axes do get Spinning Slash, and like that's it. Like Spinning Slash is actually a very decent Ash of War, especially for like smaller base weapons that don't actually stagger, like these for whatever reason. As the flails actually probably could have won if they actually had Spinning Chain as an equipable Ash of War, but for whatever reason, Spinning Chain cannot be equipped. I don't know why it's not even an item in this game. That makes no sense. Every single weapon class should actually have a own unique and specific type of Ash of War, like you have Square Off with the straight swords and Unsheathed with the katanas. Every single one should have their own one. It would actually make the game so much better, but unfortunately that's not really the case. But looking at the Ash of War options themselves between these 3 classes, they're all very average. Like you do get things like Flaming Strike and Wild Strike's Lion's Claw, things like that, but you don't get any like polearm options in Phantom Slash or Ice Speed. You don't get any of like the slashing or poking type things like Impaling Thrust, Piercing Fang. You don't get Giant's Hunt at all. So I'd probably give a C tier to the flails and the hammers, but the axes mean that they actually do have Spinning Slash, which is pretty decent. I'd probably give this one a B tier. Anyway, going over the best PvE options on screen right now is my top 10. The purple is for the hammers, yellow is for the flails, and the blue is for the axes. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I have just recently done my tier list on all of these for both PvE and PvP, so definitely check that out. But I'd probably lean more towards the hammers as being the better PvE options because, yeah, the Stone Club is just an amazing weapon. It has a really good light attack combo, obviously striking damage, really good posture damage as well, has decent range. The Morningstar is going to be a very solid bleed option that also does get a very unique type of moveset and decent base damage as well. As for the flails, I think that the base flail is just better than the base hammer and the base axe because they do have inherent bleed and they do get just as much poise damage as hammers do. But the Bastard Star is probably the best option of the bunch because it does have a very good Ash of War. But as for the axes themselves, I don't really care much for them in PvE compared to things like the hammers because they actually only get standard damage, which is not really that great in PvE because strike damage is obviously a lot more beneficial. And these things don't actually do as much poise damage as hammers do themselves. So inherently, I just think that these are just better overall. So the hammers is going to actually end up winning out. But in terms of actually giving them a tier list, I probably give the hammers about a B tier and I probably give the axes and flails a C tier respectfully. Okay, now time for the best PvP options. On screen right now is my top 10. Once again, not going to really go into too much detail because I have my own tier list. But yes, the blue is for the axes, purple is for the hammers, and the yellow is for the flails. But as you can see, there is no yellow because flails are just not good in PvP. There are like no good options. You just don't like the Bastard Stars, which I guess can be okay, but I just prefer all of these 10 options just a lot better. But based on this list, yes, I'm obviously going to give this one to the axes because they actually have very decent types of options. The Iron Cleaver, which gets a very similar attack or light attack combo as the Stone Club, but it gets a much better heavy attack for PvP, and it's a cool like charging attack. The Stormhawk Axe is definitely one of the better ashes for dueling as well. Things like the Warped Axe and the Hand Axe do get very unique light attack combos, and the Rebel Blade is like one of the better status effect type weapons in the entire game as well. And you do have things for the hammers. The Morningstar is probably going to be your best option because it does get that unique moveset with it has a bunch of poking attacks, and it does get bleed, so obviously a decent weapon overall. And going further down the list, things like the Ringed Finger are just pretty decent in duels. Maracas Hammer is decent at invasions, and on Void's Horn is actually kind of underrated for dueling. I just like it a lot. I like blowing bubbles, and it does decent damage. So I just put it on the list because I like them. Anyway, that pretty much concludes it for this one. On screen is the final score. There are just no winners in this one. Doesn't matter what the score is. None of these weapons won at anything. Like, they all need to be buffed. They need buff to range, stagger potential, more posture damage themselves, more differing movesets, especially with the flails themselves, because none of them actually get a unique moveset, especially with this charging heavy attacks, which are absolutely atrocious. But yeah, like, they just need to be changed. They need to be changed. Something's got to give. It's been way too long. We need them to be better, please. I want them to be the same tier as like katanas. I want them to be like S tier options. I want them to be like the best options because I love hammers so much, and then they just keep doing this to me. Anyway, we're not going to get into a rant in our outro, so yeah, just gonna end it there. Please do like and subscribe, and do follow me on Twitch because should be live as of this moment right now. And yeah, see you in the next one, guys. Bye.